Well, the last thing Steve Sound needed was another pair of speakers. But Mrs. Sound said there were a pair out on the street marked free. This was a few days ago, and I'm like, I just really don't need a new pair of speakers to store right now and then, put in the shop. Well, yesterday I was taking a walk and I walked by them and I'm like, I'll just go check them out. And as it turns out, they are JBL L100s. Pretty sought after. Now they're a bit thrashed. As you can see, I'm going to need to replace the mid-range, replace these tweeters, get new grills and stuff, but it's actually worth it for this pair. I will put some videos up showing my process of restoring these, also refinishing them. But for now, this is how they look. Let's see how they sound. Obviously, they're going to sound like crap in one mid-range, but I'm just going to, see what's what here. All right, I hear stuff. All right, we're getting some sound here. Even this torn up mid-range is getting sound. Seems like only one of the tweeters is working. All right, well, stay tuned for the process. Catch you later. By the way, I also found these inside one of the speakers. Obviously, they'd been dropped through the port. So again, that gives credence to my opinion that this was kid tested, kid destroyed. Well, not destroyed, kid compromised. Let's put it that way. So an update on these JBLs. I have replaced the speaker caps on the tweeters and put a new foam ring around them, and also new mid-ranges. So I'm just letting the caps dry and we will see how it sounds. If you've got some deeper scratches that aren't coming out with your first go over on the electric sander, better to leave them than to go through the veneer and end up on the whatever is beneath it. So take sandpaper by hand and then just slowly start working it just a tiny bit at a time. Again, if I have to leave a mark like that, that's fine. I mean, the speakers are still going to look really good. And what the heck, they're 40, 50 years old, so. All right, well, I haven't been very consistent in keeping up with the progress of these speakers, but again, I had to create new front grills and also the frame with which it is encased, surrounded by, I guess that's a better term. So I've got, 1/4-inch MDF, and then this frame around that, into which will go the foam. So I just need to adjust the cutting a little bit, but I've pretty much got it. Everything is uncovered, meaning the drivers, so nothing will be blocked. The controls will be accessible, although that actually, now that I think about it, that doesn't matter because you're going to take the whole thing off to get the controls, but it doesn't matter. So anywho, you know what though? The port. I forgot to cut a hole for that. All right, so that's what I shall do next. Cut a little space right here so that port is open. Derp. All right, so there we go. Hole for the port. My only fear was cutting too far over this way and not allowing room for the hole for that peg. So that is good. The nice thing about this particular cut, doesn't need to be pretty because it's all going to be covered up first by acoustic cloth stuff and then of course by the grill. So ain't nobody going to see this. So now we'll see if I can adequately film this while doing it. The adjustment is making sure that the when the frame is attached, it's completely square with the speaker cabinet. And so here, you can see I'm a little off on this side. So I need to sand down the inner part, which I've been doing. Just taking a while to get it because I certainly don't want to overdo it. All right, so we got them pretty much square and such. Now that this frame has been cut out, the trick now is to figure out where to put or how to measure the peg holes on this. Tricky kind of deal, but my wife, Mrs. Sound, saw a video on how to do it when you have a picture that has two hooks on the back. And so I'm taking that idea, putting this painter's tape over where the pegs are, and the pegs are, you know, not symmetrical as far as where they go. So there's that. And then I will lay this on the frame, and hopefully that will do it. Now, my plan is to not drill the holes all the way through at first, in case they're not quite on. That's the tricky bit. They really have to be pretty near exact because, you know, it needs to be level with the top. Although a certain amount of sanding and whatnot could fix that, but I really would prefer not to. All right, so here we've got it aligned on the frame. Of course, it's a little tricky because necessarily the sticky side is on the wrong side of the tape for this, but it had to be there for the speaker, so I have to tape down the tape. Yeah, go figure. But all right, so you're gonna mark this little circle here, and then mark this little circle here. The good thing is, once I've got it on this one, I don't have to go through this on the other one. I can just cut out the whole template. But like I said, I'm gonna have to just drill a partial hole here. Oh, I gotta do the bottom ones also, and make sure it's gonna be aligned correctly, and then adjust if needed. So the holes may end up sort of oblong if I have to, you know, move them over to the side, but oh well, that's that. Okay, so we're pert near there, so make these flush on the top like this, and then adjust the bottom as needed. Yeah, so there we go. So I've got the frame clamped and drying, but this guy turned out to be just a little short, so I got to cut a new one of these, but no big, it's coming along. All right, so frame number 1 is done. Just gonna make sure this fits as it should. Yes, indeed, that's gonna glue in there just fine. We're getting there. All right, so then I've got this acoustic cloth, whatever, I forget what it's called. Anyway, that I will glue to the inside here of the frame, and that will, yeah, just, I don't know, it's done. I mean, that's how it's done. So, yep, that's next step. So the other thing I need to do is replace one of these broken pegs. It's just one of those things that amazes me, like how stuff like that happens. You just really have to work at it to hack one of these things off. I mean, even for a kid that's obviously been messing around with these speakers, I don't know, it blows me away. So anyway, that's that. So this is pretty stuck in there, so I'm gonna actually have to drill it out and then put the new one in. And actually just doing a little drilling loosened it up inside the hole, so I think I can just kind of pry it out here. Try to get it in the frame now with the hole in it. There we go. Yay. All right, sort of clean that out a little bit. All right, and Boom. There's that. I'm actually going to glue that sucker in there. Let's see. Oh, no, I think it goes the other way. Yeah. It goes this way. Oh, okay. I don't need to glue that in there. All right. Never use a tool for anything other than what it's intended for. All right. So like, for instance, using a plane as a hammer, no, bad idea. But I'm lazy, I didn't bring a hammer, so I don't feel like going to get one. No, I don't think I need to drill. I mean, I don't think I need to glue. But I do need to drill a new hole here in le frame. But that's no big deal. So as I did with the others, dab a little paint on there. And then I pop the frame on, and theoretically, it will leave a little mark where I should drill that hole. Et voila. All right, hole drilled. It may need some adjusting. As these always seem to, they don't quite go exact, even when I do it this way. Yep, it's not quite lined up, so I'm gonna have to drill a little extra on the side there. All right, so now I just need to tack this across the back. So here's what I shall do. I will tack one side down the top here. And then once that dries, then I can pull it taut on the other end and the sides and such and make it nice. All right, and I've got it literally tacked down. Let that dry. All right, well, things you learn. Put this on the side of the frame facing out. I put it in the back because I thought it would be better, I guess, but that makes it not fit flush against the speaker because it's got this cloth bumping it up. So learn from my mistake. Now to stain it a bit, and hopefully we'll come close to matching the speakers themselves, although it doesn't really need to exactly. A little two-tone doesn't hurt. We'll probably need a few coats. No worries, no worries. All right, out here bright and early, applying second coat of stain after having sanded the first one a bit. This works really nice, the Minwax stain with the poly coat also really makes a nice finish. So 2 or 3 coats, I'll probably do 2. These don't need to be any darker than what 2 coats is going to give. I did give 3 coats to the frame because that wood starts off lighter. It's pine as opposed to this walnut here, so it needed to be a little darker than what came out with 2 coats. All right, so this is first speaker before I put the foam, oops, almost tripping over my shoes, before I put the foam in. So I did manage to get the frame and the cabinet the same color, so yayness. And here's the completed first speaker. And they are done. Used an antique walnut stain. Let's hear them.